Thanks, Count Corla. Minister, we are all well aware that change needs to happen as regards climate action. To do nothing is not acceptable. Whether it's heating system in your home or the use of transport you travel in, it's going to happen, but it needs to be done over time and in an affordable manner. We need incentives for people to change, whether it's retrofitting your home, electric cars, speeding up the insulating of people's homes. I have already raised the issues on the cost of living with the rising prices to gas, coal, home heating oil, petrol, diesel, affecting people who can least afford it the most. Emissions from transport, one of the biggest issues. Rising numbers of cars on the road have pushed transport emissions up, overtaking electricity generation and making it one of the highest pollutant sectors. For example, no electric buses have been bought for any of Ireland's cities, with Ireland falling far behind Eastern European states in this regard. Instead, we have focused on buses and trucks that run on gas as a greener alternative to diesel. Many would suggest leakage of methane from such vehicles means their beneficial climate effects are minimal. And they say electric is a much better option. And action on electric buses for all our major cities is long overdue. Electric cars have also failed to take off in any significant way, in Ireland with sales well below the EU average. The last Transport Minister announced that by 2030 all new cars and vans will be zero emissions, with a target of 800,000 electric cars on the road by 2030. There were just 3,500 in 2017. Minister, I can tell you some of the reasons for this. Just recently, one resident spoke to me about how his family changed over to an electric car a few months ago. They have no driveway, so the only way they can charge their car is by running a cable from the sitting room out through the window and across the footpath to their car, as there is no charging points in the estate. This person was so conscious that it would cause an accident outside his home with someone tripping over the cable that he applied to the Meath County Council asking could he install a charging point outside his home. This was refused, and I am sure there are many others in the same position. Minister, leading on from this gentleman, it made me wonder, should all new house builds from 2021 onwards, 2022, come with charging points in the driveways? Every household will have use of an electric car between the years 2030 to 2050. Homes will last a lifetime, as will charging points. Do we need to put in place this measure to ensure families have all the infrastructure in place when moving into their new homes? My constituency of Meath West has 8 e-car charging points, 2 in Enfield, 2 in Trim and 4 in Navan. This leaves out a huge area with places like Oldcastle, Atboy, Delvin, Collinstown, Castlepollard, all without charging points, and at present there isn't any plans to install them. ESB have no current plans to install them in these areas, but said that they have an e-car charging point near them in Kells. This would be a 35-minute journey for someone going from Oldcastle or Castlepollard to Kells. The charging points in some of the 8 locations have continuous problems as engineers tried to fix them remotely during lockdowns. I was in contact with e-cars at ESB recently over a number of complaints from constituencies. Electric cars are very expensive as well. Some families have told me that they spent €50 a week on diesel, but now it's costing them over €80 in their new electric car. Will this government invest in the installation of charging points and speed up the rollout of these, as families can't be expected to drive for over half an hour just to charge their cars? If we are serious about electric cars, we need to see charging points across every village and town in rural Ireland. This will alleviate people being stranded on our roads because their cars went flat. We also need to see more bus and rail services to our part of the country. This will take thousands of vehicles off the road. Again, Minister, Navan Rail Line would be the one project in my county of Meath that would make the biggest difference to climate action in a positive way. The consensus among most people to do nothing is not an option either. So, thank you.
Thank you very much, Deputy Crowe.
Good Margaret. For the first time in our history, we fully understand the damage human beings are doing to our planet. Our planet is burning, and this is probably the last opportunity we'd have to put things right. Our planet is heating up. Sea ice and glaciers are melting, animal habitats are disappearing, and time is running out. Human beings are responsible for the greatest level of extinction since the last ice age. We need to act now, because once we tip the balance, we won't be getting a second chance. and it's already too late for vast areas of our planet as rising seas engulf more land, fertile soil becomes sand, with vast dust plains replacing greenery. In pursuing climate action targets, we cannot underestimate the need for buy-in and engagement from the public. Citizen engagement has to be a key in any climate action plan, and without really explaining this man-made crisis to people, a great deal of the change needed will never be made. We can have all the high policy we like, but if we do not have a grassroots approach, then our green spaces, our waterways, our ecosystems will continue to decline and die. In my own local area, I help a group called the Litter Mugs, who go out and clear along streams and rivers and other public parks. And there's a great sense of satisfaction when after a long day, you've cleared long stretches of ground, plastic bottles, coffee cups, beer cans, and all the other rubbish that a minority of people leave behind. But unfortunately, in many cases, a week later, you go along and you find that a lot of your work has been done. The river or park will be covered in plastic, floating plastic, hundreds of broken bottles, and every rubbish known to man. Community outreach programmes rooted in community and voluntary organisations that encourage local communities to drive change at local levels are a fundamental part of any climate action to me. And the cost of removing burnt-out cars and clearing the pollution requires both time and money and uses up badly needed resources that could be invested in communities. I know of a GAA club, Oireachtas, in my own area, and they told me recently that 84 cars had been burnt out in the local park where they play. That's since the 1st of January 2018. So, Minister, more needs to be done to support clubs like Oireachtas. Words on paper will not help solve the deep crisis we're in when it comes to climate action and the pollution that is contributed to extreme environmental damage. Any plans must be fully resourced and funded by government without councils having to choose between clearing polluted sites or improving other public spaces. Again, the financial burden cannot all fall on local authorities. There must be a whole government effort to see that climate action is the heart of our policies and policies agendas. To paraphrase Bobby Sands, whose death occurred 40 years ago today, everyone has their part to play, and we owe it to future generations to do things differently. And I suppose that's what we're asking for, Minister. We need to start all doing things differently. We need to pull together. We need to save our planet. We need to save those habitats. We need to save those ecosystems. And most of all, we need to do things differently. And that puts a responsibility on us all. So time is running out. We need to do more. And I think that's the message that we need to send out today. We need to do more, and we need to do it ourselves. Thank you.